Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking a look at original Sony PSP games running on the RG351, in this case the 351M. Now the jury's still out about how well PSP games actually run on this device, but this is the latest version of ArcOS, which I believe has got the very up-to-date RetroArch cores, which includes the PPSSPP emulator. So I've got a bit of a mixture of games, some that I think will tax the system and others that I think it should handle with ease, and that's what we're going to be having a look at today. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. This is Mercury, Archer McLean's Mercury. Great little game. Loved this when it came out, originally on the PSP. There is a follow-up, but not so good, that one. Yeah, so there was a little bit of juddering there. Not a lot, but there was a bit. Playing the actual game was fine. Let's give another level, give it another try. Oh, I lost a bit, so I have to retry. You have to do this one with 100%, so I've lost it again. But I think you can hear that on the whole, this one's playing all right. So, well, so far so good. Definitely getting some musical stutters here, aren't we?
At your service.
But we'll give it a try just to see how we get on. I mean, that's all we can really do. The fact that this is playing PS1 games, PSP games at all is brilliant, really. Oh, that's not so good, is it? See that slow down there? It sort of dropped to about 20 to 25 seconds. This is slightly different. I did play Hot Shots Golf, which is the US release. This is the European one, so maybe it's not quite so good. It's a bit of a shame, isn't it? It's playable, but it's just not great. And one of the big advantages of this game is it's got such a great soundtrack. Yeah, it really slows down on the speed of the when you're taking a shot. I think almost certainly this would annoy me a bit too much to play, and that's a shame because it's one of my favourite games, but it just almost is unplayable, which is not great, is it? Yeah, it's on the borderline, that one, whether you could actually play that one. This is Gravis Collection. This one seems to be running at 61 frames a second, which seems very good. So I think this is a little, this is a mixture of classic Gradius. There's a few on here, and there's 4 different versions on here. We'll just try the original one for now, just to get a start, just to get a feel for it. Yeah. That'll do. So the frames per second is hovering around 60, 61, 62, which is better than the other 2 that we've seen so far. Okay, we're going to get past the music. Look at that. It's supposed to be playing. All I can get is a bit of sound. There's literally no game there at all. So we had a menu, but I've got no screen. So that's another one. That should have been pretty straightforward to play, that particular one. But unfortunately, it's not. So that's a dud. Back to the drawing board. This is Lumines. Great game, this one. It says it's running at 30 frames per second, so we shall see. If you like puzzle games, it's fast and furious. You see, you're dropping your bricks down there. Now, as expected, this sort of 2D one plays absolutely fine. It's at a constant 30 frames per second. And some people might say, well, why don't you, on the PSP emulator, just turn on frame skip? And I suppose that might help in certain cases, but this is more a proof of concept, just to see what is actually possible, really, straight out of the box. And this one seems to be absolutely fine, as you would expect, really. So Lumines is not going to give you any trouble. Which is cool. So Metal Slug Anthology. So I did try this one in practice, but I'm trying a different ROM now, where I was able to get the titles running, as you can see, but I couldn't actually get the game started. So we'll have a look, see if that's the same case now. And it is, yeah. So it looked like it was loading in, but it's not getting past the title screen. It's a bummer. That's a real shame. Now this is one I would expect to struggle because it's a fast-moving racing game. But we'll see how we get on. Right, here we go then. So I'm not optimistic, I have to say. I don't think it's going to be that good, but oh dear. The sound's awful. Look how slow it's running. Oh. Yeah, unplayable. Unplayable. Look at that. It's running at 19 frames a second. That's no good. It's no good. Now, this one's PacMan World Rally. This was traditionally one of the easier ones to emulate, from what I hear. It's not that taxing, it's not that big a game. It's actually, looks like it's going to load. Is it a little bit of choppiness? Are we going to actually get a racer to load? Well, it's there. The sound's choppy again. We're getting the warning from PPSSPP to say turn frame skip on, which sadly means you have to go into the Retro Arch settings. which is daunting to say the least. But it says it's running at 31 frames a second. This is actually playable. Better than most that we've seen today. But I did hear that this was pretty compatible with this machine, so very much a poor man's Mario this, so you may not want to spend hours on it, but you know, at least we've tried it. And this one does actually play okay. Not great, but it's okay. Cool. Yeah, that's alright, that could be quite a bit of fun, that one. Let's have a look at another game. So this is the best of the PC Engine. Now, the PC Engine was one of those systems that was famous for their amazing shooters. And there's quite a bit on here. And they're all pretty basic, because this is basically a best of emulation collection that was released on the PSP. Should we give this one a try? Yeah. This is what the PC Engine's famous for, is its schmucks. Not just the schmucks, but quite a bit of it is for their schmucks. And they're fast and furious and a lot of fun. So this one is on full 60 frames, a constant 60 frames per second. So this doesn't need anything. So this is one that you might want to give a try to, because this has got about 8 games on. 8 classic PC Engine games. And it's just called the best of the PC Engine. And who doesn't mind a good schmuck? I certainly do. So this is good, really playable. Loving the analog stick. The thing is with these schmucks, they get fast quick, don't they? So far so good though. But I haven't needed to avoid much. I feel a big boss is coming along somewhere. What did I say? Yeah, I think this is one that you might want to put down as pop on your RG351, because this is great. This is really good fun. This plays perfect. It's holding a constant steady 60 frames per second, so that's good news. Brilliant. Well, we could be here all day, so I better get on with the next one. Absolutely love this one when I had my PSP. Well, I've still got my PSP, but this one in the Williams collection, just superb. If you're a fan of pinball, which I am, you'll just love this one. So I'm hoping for good results on this, to see how well this one plays. The only thing about this is possibly the screen is a little bit too small. Now, Genie was quite a complicated one, so I think that's probably, yeah, that we're getting the warning saying it's running a little bit slow, just a little bit.
1979, considered by many to be the best wide-body table of its era.
Yes, I played on it recently. Well, I say recently, about a year and a half ago in Vegas. Played on Genie. Went to the Pinball Museum. It's absolutely fantastic.
Let's take a look at where on the table you'll be.
Let's just play the table. Right then, so let's see if we can figure out the controls. Let's try that again. Right, here we go then. Okay, let's... Camera 4, here we are, that's a bit better. Yeah, that's a better way. So this sort of, using this camera angle, it sort of follows the ball around the table. I have to say, it says it's running at 53 frames per second. To me, it feels a bit slow. Slower than I remember it. But quite difficult to tell, but let's just keep playing a little bit longer. I think before the days of the Android and iPhone pinball emulators, these were the best that you could get, and I still think they're great today. I really like the fact that you get a bit of history of the game as well, history of that particular pinball table. I actually used to have a pinball years ago. Mr. and Mrs. PacMan is the one I had, but it never worked, and I didn't have the expertise to fix it, so I got rid of it. But amazing piece to look at. So there we are. I'd say that plays all right, which I'm particularly pleased about, I have to say. This is R-Type command, looking good so far. Let's see if we can get into a game. Yeah, this looks to be playing absolutely fine. Strategy game, of course. But yeah, no issues with this one at all. R-Type command seems okay. This is Sonic Rivals. This is one I would expect to push the system. So far so good. Seems quite nippy. Let's race for it. Okay. See how this works. That doesn't seem quite right. Does it to you? Oh dear. Yeah, not everything's loaded in. Oh, what a shame. It's not handling it, is it? There's obviously action happening behind in the screen there, but it's just not loaded. Yeah, sorry, I sort of expected that one to not work, and we were dead right. Oh dear. Absolutely cracking game this. If you like a bit of Space Invaders, this is the business. Absolutely love this one. The soundtrack is really banging, I have to say. Yeah, seems to be playing alright. It's a little bit harder to see what's going on than I remember. I suppose on an original PSP, the screen's bigger, isn't it, than this little RG351. But as you can see, it's playing absolutely fine, and I thought it probably would because it's just like a 2D one. There's hardly a lot going on here, is there? But even so, it's nice to know that there's another one in the library. And I think, really, summing up, what we're going to have to do is it's going to be trial and error. You're just going to have to try these games and just see how you get on, because your mileage may very well vary, but don't expect God of War or something like that to be running, because it's just not going to happen. You're not going to be playing Grand Theft Auto on this. Liberty City Stories, sadly, because it's just not going to happen quite yet. That's not to say it may not in the future. Right, let's look at a couple more games. Just do a little practice, shall we? See if we can actually skate. Ski, I should say. I do love the SSX games in general, so it'd be nice to think we could play one on here. Staying steady at about 30 frames per second. The trick is, will it get past the loading screen so you can actually have a blast? Drop to 13, 20. Well, there we are. So that seems pretty fluid. The sound isn't great, but the actual gameplay is fine. I'll turn the sound down a bit because that can be a little distracting. That doesn't seem too bad, does it? Oh, I do love a bit of SSX. Oh no, that bit of screen tearing there seemed to be going through the through the bottom of the mountain. So this is borderline playable, I think. So the last game I've got for us to look at, to try, is Wipeout Pure. So we can give that one a blast, see if we can get a little bit of Wipeout going, because that's a super quick game, isn't it, when you play it. The moment of truth. Oh look, it dropped to 5 frames a second there. It's trying, it's struggling, it's gone slow. Yeah, it's running pretty slowly. That ain't gonna be no good. Look at it. Might make the game a bit easier. But yeah, this is, if anyone's played Wipeout, you know how quick this is supposed to be. So I suppose in summary, it's a tad disappointing, but then again, I never really had high hopes for the PSP. It just seemed a tricky one to emulate at best. Now I will have a play around with the RetroArch settings, and potentially I'll come back and I'll do a video of all the games that play really good, and potentially we'll go into RetroArch and play around with the settings a little bit to see if we can get it improved. But as a first stab, looking there at about, what, 12 games or so, I think we can see that, you know, it's patchy at best, which is exactly what we thought. But some stuff does play well, and I would imagine that the older retro compilations are not going to do you any harm at all. The only thing is, on the RG351, why would you want to bother with them when you can play them on the specific emulators that are on the device anyway, you know? So, you know, there you go. But anyway, I think that was quite interesting, and I hope you found that interesting too. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that little look today at those PSP games. Certainly a bit of a mixed bag, but you never know, it might get better over time. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. If you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it a thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing for regular vintage retro gaming content, and I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.